Yo guys, what is going on? Blossoms back. Welcome back to an episode of Top Drives. Now, earlier over the weekend, or right before the weekend, Hutch released this Excel sheet talking about all the rarity changes, which I think a lot of us will be seeing right now. By the time this video is out, I believe they would have already forced the update, and I'm not looking forward to it, to be honest, mainly because of OCD's sake, and there's going to be a lot of cleaning up in my garage that's going to need to happen. But anyway, when they released that Excel sheet talking about all of the changes, I'm not sure if you guys had a fun time reading it, but I clearly didn't. I'm a visual learner, okay? I'm a visual learner, and that's why I make so many informative videos, you know, that are really, in my opinion, easy to digest. I use a lot of big photos. I use a lot of color. Like, that's just how I remember things. That's how I understand things. And I think that's why in high school, some of my weakest subjects were like physics and chemistry and all the things that just didn't have the pretty colors, you know what I mean? So when I saw that Excel sheet, I was genuinely overwhelmed. And if you were overwhelmed by that, then this is definitely the video for you. I'm going to be talking about all of the rarity changes that are happening for super rare, as well as, you know, some of the uncommon and common changes that also came around with this update. And we're going to talk about a little bit of the winners and the losers. There's a lot of content to make, and I genuinely think there's more, you know, from a YouTuber's perspective, there's more content to make around a car rarity change update than there is of a new car update. Think about the Lamborghini update we just had. Yeah, I'm going to, you know, just look around, you know, oh, got some new Lamborghinis. Okay, yeah, well, now what? But there's so much to talk about here. So, you know, throughout the week, I'll be talking about the rarity changes. I'll be talking about the changes within rarity, and that's going to be the winners and losers series. So basically cars that didn't change in rarity, but they might have gotten some stat changes, because there's a lot of different changes, and we got to start somewhere, right? We got to start somewhere. So with that being said, I'm going to turn on my camera, and we're going to get into today's video. Okay, everyone, let's get into it. Super rares, upgrades, and downgrades. That's what we're going to start off with today. These are all the changes, okay? All the rarity changes. So if a car got a rarity change, you're going to see it here from super and below. So we got the Mazda CX-3, right? That's going to rare. That has a significant change, which I will talk about in a bit. Volkswagen Atlas is going down. I mean, for the longest time, I've already been telling people how crap this car is. And I mean, it's really telling. This isn't a car that is going down by 3 RQ. This is a car going from what was borderline super rare to the lower end of the rare collection. 40 to 33 is a massive drop. That being said, very momentous stuff, but Val, I have reason to actually fully upgrade the Atlas now. I genuinely have reason to fully upgrade the Atlas now. This is a car that I can have a look at upgrading now. It's a little bit less yellow, you know? One of the reasons why I didn't like the Atlas was because it was just piss yellow. It still is piss yellow, but at least the car is a little bit more, you know, diversified with that little blue in the D. You know what I mean? Like that yellow with the C. Oh my god, there's just too much going on. It's a little nicer as a D. That's just my personal opinion. The Volvos are going down, C40s are going down, both of which getting some massive little cuts. Basically all of the front wheel drive, all service tire super rares are going down bar one, which is the Acura. And namely so, rightly so, because that is actually a pretty decent one. Volkswagen Golf GTD, that's going down, pretty big change, and the Chevy Blazer as well. Also, shout out to Top Drives Records, by the way. They are so slow to updating their information that I can still get old photos of all of these cars, which is great. Cadillac ELR, that's going down. A lot of people are saying that this thing is going to be meta again because it's getting a massive downgrade from like 13 RQ, but it has no stat changes. But unfortunately, you guys might be a little bit, you know, sad to know that it isn't really meta even as an RQ35, and we'll get to that later. It is okay on like Twisty Circuit and things like that, but we'll get to that later. My W212 E220 Blue Tech is going down, which makes me believe that if they ever added my car, it probably wouldn't be a super rare. It will probably be rare. If you don't know, I also own a W212, but mine's an E250. 0 to 60, if I remember correctly, is like 7.9 seconds. My top speed is 155. And I mean, I think my car handles pretty well. I think it's gonna have standard tires as well. It's rear-wheel drive and everything. But yeah, I think my car will probably be around that range. But it's a good car to hoard, I guess. If they ever add the E250 to the game. Mazda RX-8, that's also going down. This one's getting a pretty significant buff because the stats doesn't change. It's a lot cheaper to use. The only changes that I got was I went from medium ground clearance to low ground clearance, which is completely fine. Because that just takes away. Honestly, this car being medium ground clearance, in my opinion, was a detriment to it. So the fact that they got rid of that makes it better, in my opinion. Lincoln's Nautilus going down, getting the front wheel drive, all surface tire car. Lincoln MKC, and the Ford F-150, which might be decent because it is a bit of a dragger, right? And most dragsters monsters are going up, but that one isn't. Some other changes going down: Buick Enclave, or Enclave, sorry. The Subaru Alcyone, Peugeot 508, Mitsubishi L200, Dakota Laramie, Chrysler LHX, and the BMW iX3. Now, the one to watch here, I think, is the BMW. That's going to be pretty damn good. But yeah, the Laramie, what an interesting one. Used to be a rare, went up to super rare, went back down to rare. Chrysler LHX, used to be a rare, went up to super rare, went down to rare. What the hell's going on here? Subaru Alcyone, if you've been playing this game for long enough, you know what I'm talking about. Used to be a rare, went up to super rare, went back down to rare. Same thing with the Peugeot 508, used to be a rare, went up to super rare, went down to rare. Oh, surprise, surprise, we're back where we started, you know, from 2 years ago. So, let's talk about the significant changes, the things that I'm learning from these rarity changes. The first one is the Mazda CX-3 is going from standard tires to performance tires. That's it, no stat changes, so massive RQ decrease as well. Handling stays the same, everything stays the same, but the tires, right? Golf GTD, same thing. Everything stays the same besides the tires. It goes from standard to performance. I think that this car will be all right. It's a medium ground clearance, 84 handling, RQ34. 0 to 60 is also okay-ish. I think it's gonna be fine. I think it's gonna. It's not gonna thrive, but I think it's gonna be. It's not gonna be terrible. It's gonna be an okay rare to have. So like I said earlier, right? This is gonna be a massive change. Ground clearance change from medium to low, but nothing else. And of course the ELR, right? The ELR's RQ has decreased by 13. No stat changes. The handling remains at 80. 0 to 60 remains at 0 to 6.4, but it's getting a massive RQ nerf. So a lot of players are saying, oh wow, this thing's gonna be useful. It's gonna be meta again. Yeah, not really. Okay, this isn't a full-scale sample size, but the ELR can't even hold a candle towards, you know, a Lancia Fulvia, for example. And the Mazda RX-8 Hydrogen as well. I mean, that car isn't winning anything, right? So if you had the choice, you would still go for the Mazda Ibuki or the Lancia Fulvia within the small sample size. There might be other cars that are better. This sample size is only just here to showcase. Its purpose is only to showcase that the ELR and the Mazda RX-8 aren't really the best in anything. The ELR, like I said earlier, twisty circuit. Okay, it's got its niche there, right? Twisty circuit within its RQ range. But then again, you know, you're bringing things like the Mazda BBR, for example. That's going to change the game, but that's also higher in RQ. So when you're talking about mid-range rare, okay, maybe the ELR might be better, okay? At least in the sample size. They might be a better 35. There honestly might be. All right, moving on now. More changes. Chrysler LHX. Like I said, used to be a rare, went up to super, went back down. On top of that, it also got a handling decrease, so that's pretty tough. Went from 76 to 72, so that's pretty unlucky. When it used to be a rare in the past, it actually had 76 handling. But now that it's got the cut, it's gone back down, so yeah, oh well. Subaru Alcyone. Now this one, when I saw this in the patch notes that this was going down, I was a little bit surprised. So obviously, you know, these RQ changes are the brainchild of Robin, but I also want to give, you know, my own input on things. If you asked me to rate the Subaru Alcyone SVX, I would definitely bring it down to rare, but I would honestly put it as a 39 or a 38. I wouldn't put it as 37. I think that this car is going to be pretty good. I think it's actually really good value now. Mainly within that four-wheel drive low ground clearance niche. I mean, have a look at this. Compared to all of the low ground clearance, four-wheel drive performance rares, this thing is incredibly dominant. And that's why when I saw this get a change in the XL, that it was going down, I was like, wow, okay, 37. Back in the day, this was a rare, went up to super, and I kind of got why it was a super, and now it's back to a rare. Little bit too low, 37. I honestly think that this could be a 38 or a 39. This thing is very strong. It's one to watch. Definitely a car that you should invest in your garage. Usually, you know, what's useful about these four-wheel drive cars is usually for four-wheel drive clubs. Because if it's four-wheel drive clubs and the tracks are all dry, you can save RQ by not using the medium ground clearance four-wheel drive cars that are all inflated in RQ. So you can save some RQ there, and they also bring pretty decent performance. I mean, like, look, I'll put it this way, right? If the Subaru Alcyone was medium ground clearance, that thing would immediately be like RQ44, right? Something along that line. But because it's low, it's 37. So you can save a lot of RQ in four-wheel drive clubs, for example, within Alcyone. And, you know, within that niche of low ground clearance, you know, cars, you know, rares, this is the best one to use. So that's pretty good. When it comes to the wet, it's the same scenario as well. Obviously, I'm not going to compare this to a four-wheel drive standard, because a four-wheel drive standard car is going to be better. Even though the Outlander is not even in the equation anymore, it's still going to be better. But against its own niche, this thing is dominant. It's genuinely dominant. It is good. Sorry, it's not low ground clearance four-wheel drive performance, by the way, because there are not many. It's just four-wheel drive performance. If I said low four-wheel drive performance, I know someone's gonna call me out on it because he's not gonna watch this part of the video. But yeah, four-wheel drive performance. There aren't a lot of low ground clearance four-wheel drive performance I could compare this car to. So just against everything. Okay, yeah. Sorry, made a mistake on that one. All right, but I amended to it. But someone is still not gonna hear it, and someone's gonna call me on it. I know it. Someone reply to them in the comments, please. Okay, next up, changes. Ford F-150 going down, BMW iX3 going down. These two got my fancy because they got really low 0 to 60s, and I wanted to see how well they would perform. So have a look at this. I thought the F-150 Tremor was going to be like the next big thing, right? It's got a super low 0 to 60. Problem with the Ford though, no top speed. And the BMW iX3 seems to be the better option, and it's beating things like the Lil Ram Express, which actually went down in RQ as well, which I was surprised because that is a dragster and most dragsters went up. Yeah, the iX3 is a good one, man. Maybe a car that you would definitely consider to go drag spec. I know, drag spec, seriously, what the hell? I can see some sense in it, you know, at least within its own niche of like, you know, front wheel drive or rear wheel drive, what you call it, all surface tire cars. This thing it looks pretty good, okay? Anyway, let's talk about some more changes. Now we're talking about we talked about the super rares that were going down. Now I'm going to talk about the rares that are going up. So Suzuki X90 is going up. Yeah, I mean, this thing was probably going to be a Blossom Choice rare, to be honest. Outlander was definitely a Blossom Choice rare, so that's going up. Bora was definitely a Blossom Choice rare, so that's going up. So I can see why these three cars are going up. I genuinely see the vision in that. Lamborghini, this thing's a price car, right? So I don't know. I can't say much about it. Prowler going up is just absurd, honestly. This thing was terrible as a rare. You know, it's not like you needed it. When I think of the best 39s in the game, you know, before the rarity change, the Prowler never comes to mind. What I think of the best 39s in the game before the rarity change, Mitsubishi Outlander, right? So that's going up. Dodge Demon Roadster, that hasn't gone up. Fiat Abarth, Berlinetta, or whatever it is, that hasn't gone up either, right? So those are some really good ones. I don't think of the Prowler. Cadillac Escalade's going up as well. That's getting a significant change. Some other cars. Oh, there's a lot here that I disagree with. The Ford Falcon, the Bristol, the Bentley Continental. What the fuck? Alpha is going up. Triton's going up, and the electric. Okay, so out of everything here, I can see the Triton and the electric going up for sure. Triton, honestly, could have gone to 39, and maybe the Rifter goes up to 40. But obviously, they wanted to do a major buff on all the full drive off road. So fair enough. As long as there's uniformity and all the off road tires of cars are going up, I don't mind. So yeah, that's going up, and electric Shadow. Yeah, that's a great one too. SLR is going up. That's getting a massive handling change. GMC Denali, Torino, Talladega, Ranchero, Fluence, and the Talisman. And wrapping up the cars that are going up in RQ, Hemi-Cuda, totally get that. I mean, this was a super, it went to rare, and then while it was a rare, it even went lower. It was like 36 at one point, and it went down to 33. I was like, bruh, you serious? This thing was fantastic, and it's still gonna be great. Rifter is going up. A3 is getting a massive change, and the Dodge Hornet. And the Hornet, I get that too. Hornet and the GMC Denali were the best rare city street medium and small cars. So it's gonna be interesting to see what are the best now. I've not done my research on that yet, but yeah, the Hornet and GMC moving up does open the way for new medium ground clearance cars to be the best for the city streets for the rare niche. Significant changes again. Audi with the biggest change, right? RQ increased by 10. Went from performance tire to standard, and on top of that tire change, it even got a handling buff. That's not bad. 84 handling, front-wheel drive standard, 47. I mean, okay, for 47, it's about average, but yeah, it's an interesting change. This car is going to be a lot more useful, in my opinion. Renault Talisman is going up as well because the handling is increased by 6. The Fluence is also going up because the handling is increased by 4. Cadillac Escalade gets some massive changes, right? RQ is increased by 6. Tires have switched from standard to performance, and the handling is increased by 1. Look, if the handling increase made a difference to the RQ change, I'm gonna laugh a little bit, to be honest, because I mean, it's a 1 handling upgrade on a car that doesn't really need handling at all. You're never gonna use this on a twisty, never. 65 and 66 is never gonna make a difference. This thing has always been a great hill climb rare car, and it's sad to see it leave the ranks. It's a super rare now. It's an all-surface tire car now. Now these, I genuinely don't get this. So I get why they're moving out the off-road tire cars, and I get why they're bringing up the low or just more of the drag specialists, but these are not drag specialists. These are terrible, terrible rares, and I'm genuinely surprised that they are super rares. Not only are they not RQ40s, they're 43s and 42s, and I do not get that. I know in Robin's mind, he thinks that these are dragsters, but they're terrible. You wouldn't use them for anything. The main thing is, if I were to use a drag, if I needed to use a drag super rare, then I would use a Charger or a Hemikuda. And I'm bringing in the RQ39, it's 31's an old photo, it's 39 now, bringing in the Firebird Trans Am. The Firebird Trans Am is a rare that is a better dragster than all of these cars that you see in the middle here, right? So this is what I like to call the middle of poop. It's not good at anything, right? So if you want a drag car, use one of these. If you need to use a super rare, you can use a Charger. If you need to use a super rare that's medium ground clearance, you can use a Hemikuda. If you just want to save some RQ, then just go for the Firebird. It's gonna beat all these cars in the middle. Then your other argument is, well, Blossom, they're medium ground clearance. Maybe you can use them on city streets. Look, they all don't handle enough, especially the Talladega and the Ranchero for city street medium. So we're not gonna talk about city street medium. Let's talk about city street small. Are these cars good for the city street small? No, they're not, because like, look at this, like Peugeot RCZ is still the best. Octavia is second best. Then the other Octavia is third best. Then you got the Dodge Spirit that comes in fourth. Then you have the Jaguar XJR that comes in fifth. Like it's not even top five. None of these cars are top five, by the way, when it comes to city street small. It's ridiculous. It's actually sad. And then on top of that, I guess the only one that these cars might actually come in useful for is maybe Ocean City Streets. I'll admit it, I didn't test Ocean City Streets. I only tested City Streets Small, but you get what I mean. Why are these cars super rare? Like, at the very most, they might be useful on like 1-2 track sets. And they might not even be the best. They might just be like top 3 within their RQ for 1 tracks. Like, it's just, no! It's terrible. And then last but not least, closing out the video, I want to talk about the changes that came in, like, you know, the rarities that they were supposed to change in the previous update. So these are the rares and the uncommons and the commons. Lamborghini is going up, even though it's getting worse, actually. Yes, you heard it right. This car is actually getting worse, but it's going up in rarity. So that's just a double, triple, quadruple whammy. 6 Series going up, Caravan's going up. Yeah, Caravan, I totally get that. Skylark, I don't get it. 404, I don't get it. D. Tomaso, definitely don't get it. But like I said, the Lamborghini is just getting destroyed. RQ is going up. That being said, 0 to 60 has actually increased. So it's actually slower to 60. The MRA has also decreased. And the top speed has also been reduced. So it's like worse on the testable, worse on a 1 mile, worse on everything. But it went up in RQ. This thing is terrible. Jeez, I mean, it's bad. Some other changes. Cars are serious. That's going down. Xania's going down. C4 is going down. Orlando, Colt, Chrysler Town and Country. And then some of the last of the changes here is the Challenger. It's going up. Vista, I get it. Vista, I get. This thing's great as a comment. So I get that going up. And the Subaru Vivio Bistro is going up as well. I mean, again, the Challenger and the Subaru do not understand. Genuinely do not understand why they're going up. When I think about the best commons that are still common, I want to say the Daimyo. The Mazda Daimyo is ridiculous. The Nissan, I think it's like the Datsun 240Z is pretty damn good too. There are better options to bring up, but they decided not to do so. Oh well, Mercedes 600. That's a niche. They like to buff dragsters, right? The Mercedes 600 is like the best 1 mile wet and best 1 mile dry dragster for the commons, but it's still common. Interesting. Anyway, some of the final big changes here includes the Chevrolet Orlando LTZ. Handling has decreased by a whopping 7. RQ has decreased by a whopping 7. Handling has decreased by a whopping 6. And the last one goes to the Colts. That also gets a handling decrease. But yeah, anyway guys, that's it for today. So I'm going to turn on my camera and let's get into the outro. So, lots and lots of changes to talk about. I mean, genuinely, there are lots and lots of changes to talk about. This is just the tip top of the iceberg, right? Like, there's super rare changes, ultra rare changes, epic changes. You know, there are changes within rare. It's a lot to talk about. So this is just the beginning. I hope you enjoy what's to come on the channel. But with that being said, if you want to support me in any other way besides watching and clicking like and subscribe, feel free to join the Patreon down in the description below as well. I don't think I've plugged my Patreon in like years at this point, so I'm just gonna do it now. Just allow it, please. But anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Remember to stay safe, wash your hands. Wilson out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville
Pontiac.
Hold tight all night, cruise to Jacksonville
Atlantic.
Blonde hair